All right, JT, welcome to this great conversation. Everyone, I want to thank you for being here. Um, this is something that we've been thinking about doing for quite a while, JT and I, having a conversation on community, and we were talking about this even before this all happened. Um, with the coronavirus. Um, and when this happened, we're like, oh, well, this is a great time to have this conversation with everyone. So we're including everyone to listen in. And if you're not able to watch it live, we're going to turn it into a podcast as well. But yeah, so the goal of this is not just to talk about community right now during this pandemic, but it is to talk about it in general and how important it is throughout our lives. And when this is all over, what are the things that we can do to improve community then? And I want to introduce JT Lehman. So JT is a trail runner here in Portland, Oregon. Just started a really cool um, trail running outdoor group that's getting people connected in a really cool way. And what's really impressed me about JT is the way that he is getting people to open up and connect at these group events. And I think we'll be able to learn a lot from him today and how he does it. Welcome, JT.
Thanks, Brett. Yeah, thanks for having me on. Excited to
Absolutely,
be
man.
here.
Yeah, so we could just get right into it. How are you feeling right now with everything that's going on?
Um, yeah, I'm trying to figure out how to navigate it all, how to understand what this means and what my role is in it, and how how to support the people in my life that need support right now. And I feel really lucky, in a lot of ways. Like, my job hasn't changed too much from all of this, and my close friends and family are all healthy so far and everything. So I feel really lucky. But I think a lot about the small businesses here in town and other people who have lost their jobs or whose jobs are threatened. And um, yeah, I just, like, my heart goes out to those people who are trying to navigate this really strange time.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and I mean, I'm just trying to, take it day by day. There's a lot of uncertainty that I'm feeling, um, but I'm really noticing some of the positive things. Like all my neighbors and I we're talking more, um, and I've always talked to the neighbor on this side, the neighbor on that side, but then that's where it stopped, and now like people are way more open and friendly to chat, not about just what's going on, but about everyday life. So it's cool to start forming more connections locally and just in my neighborhood.
Yeah, definitely, definitely. There's definitely something about the adversity that brings people together, and there is that sense that we're in this together. In it with your neighbors and with your family and your close friends. I
Hmm.
feel that as well.
Yeah, and I'm also noticing like that. I was also hoping that I would dive into communicating more with friends and family than I am. And I'm noticing that I'm just kind of defaulting to normal life at home, and I'm not reaching out um, to people as I thought I would, as I kind of planned last week. I thought I was going to be having more G chats and Google Hangouts, stuff like that. Um, so that's another reason that I'm excited to have this conversation, because I need a little bit more
You need a boost.
kick in the butt here to like start reaching out to everyone and doing stuff like that, because I think it's really important.
Yeah, yeah, it's really important, and it also definitely takes effort. Like you said, it takes vulnerability and effort, and it does. You need to create that, like, break in your routine, or something of an inconvenience, even when it's a time like this where you have some open space.
Right. Yeah, so let's talk about community, JT. So we've had a lot of
Do
these
it.
conversations over the past few months, um, but tell me, when did you start thinking about how important community is?
Um, I first started, or I first kind of, I think I first really realized how important community and community building was after college. So, right after college, I ran on a track and cross country team in college, and we were really close, spent tons of time together. And it was like a family. We hung out all the time, in the evenings and weekends, and went to meals together and all that. And then I graduated from college and I moved out of state, to Colorado with my girlfriend at the time, and went from having this like really close, really good community to it being just her and I. Um, and it took a while for me to like really realize that there was something really missing, because we had our own thing and it was really good in a lot of ways.
Mm,
Um, but at some point I just felt this like need to connect with other people, peers, and form those kinds of relationships that I'd had. And I found it to be really really difficult to find and form those relationships, and it was this whole skill set that I didn't have and hadn't really ever thought about. And yeah, that was really difficult, and that made it really clear to me how important community was.
hmm. And remind me when this was?
This was I graduated college in 2007, so it was
Okay.
the fall of '07. Yeah,
Okay.
quite a while ago
Yeah.
now.
So then, did you start taking actions soon after to sort of change that, or has it been a long um, process for you?
It's been a process for sure. Um, yeah, it wasn't like I just like realized it and then figured out how to like
Hmm.
build strong friendships and good community, immediately. No, it was definitely slow. Like, yeah, I tried different kinds of groups, different activities, climbing and skiing and um, work and things like that, and just kind of dabbled in a variety of different things. And I mean, that's really been a real evolution from that time until now, finding different ways to meet people for one, and then to form strong relationships with those people. um, yeah, that's been a long process, and I'm still working on it for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. And I know I've told you this, but yeah, what got me starting to think about community was when I was really young, like 13, 14 years old. I didn't have a ton of friends at that age. And so there was a lot of like time to myself. And um, I realized the importance of it then, and how the lack of it can be pretty devastating. And it's been always like in my mind at some level ever since then, um, being kind of hyper aware of it from that early age. Um, but yeah, then when I got into certain books about community, that's when it really kind of opened up, and I started to have like feel I started to feel like the feelings I had were validated. It wasn't
Yeah,
just
it's
me
not
who
just
was
you.
feeling lonely.
Totally.
Yeah. So yeah, let's talk about that. Do you have certain things that you've looked to, whether it's books or movies or anything, that has really opened up your mind to the importance of community?
Yeah, yeah, definitely. And we've talked about a couple really great ones. Actually, um, you know, a a book about, the importance of community and how, we've evolved as people to need close relationships, is one that you recommended. It's Tribe by Sebastian Younger. And in that, it's a pretty quick read for people who are interested.
Mm,
I really highly recommend it. But he does a great job of laying out what tribal societies are like, and how we've evolved to function in close proximity with other people and be reliant on one another, and share things with each other, and how the good of the tribe, the good of our group is, we've evolved to value that above the individual.
hmm. Yeah, and that book especially highlights the so like soldiers coming back from war. Um, I think Sebastian Younger was in, I think, Afghanistan or Iraq
Mhm.
as a journalist, and yeah, so he had these firsthand accounts with soldiers who, yeah, came back from war after having like the most kind of amazing bond, brotherhood that you can have, and getting home and losing all that pretty pretty quickly, um, and how that pushed a lot of these people into depression. And of course, we always think about PTSD after coming back from war, and that was a big surprise to me. That like, oh wow, a lot of these people are struggling not just because of what they saw, but because of what they're lacking in their lives now. They're lacking this really important community that they once had.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. He talks a lot about, you know, older societies having rituals to welcome people back from war and to celebrate the sacrifice that they made, and share that, that understanding of how what they have done was valuable for the community, and you know showing that clear benefit, and showing their love and their worth and connection. I thought that was
Hmm.
really interesting.
Yeah, and that's that. It's like that real tribal thing that you're talking about, like way back when we were living in tribes, like we were and still are like these social animals, and we just don't have those regular kind of tribal interactions anymore on a daily basis. The closest thing I've ever had to it in my life was living in college dorms,
Right.
um, where like the the people who live on your floor become your tribe in a pretty substantial way. Like the guys that I live with, um, my first 2 years in college, like we were super tight. Like we hung out all the time. And it was probably, yeah, like a happier time of my life because I was in such proximity to other people.
Yeah, definitely.
Um, so yeah, I mean, do you look back at a time in your life when you had a strong community?
Yeah, there's been a few different times. One certainly is college, with running and the running team, and being super connected to that group of guys for 4 years. With some guys coming and going as they'd come into school or graduate. But that was definitely a time that I felt that really like strong, close connection. And I hadn't felt that really before. Like, in high school, I had groups of friends, and before that, I'd have groups of friends, but never that like really, I guess, like broad and tight group of
Yeah.
people. Um, and then I've had that over the years with different friends who have felt really close to and spent a lot of time with, and formed like a really strong and deep bond, but also one that's like really, just seeing that other person a lot, which I think is something that's really fun and really hard to
Hmm.
cultivate now. But yeah, I don't know, I've had friends at different times in my life when our lives have matched up enough that we both have the space and time to
Yeah.
spend a bunch of time together, which is awesome and feels so good. I love having relationships like that.
Hmm. Yeah, and I know, yeah, we're both kind of in that stage of our lives in our mid 30s where a lot of our friends are married and have kids, and that totally changes the dynamic now of we can't just reach out to the same friend to hang out every night because they've got commitments.
Yeah, right.
And not even just family. It's we're just more busy now. There's so much more work that seems to be in our lives than what it used to be.
Yeah, that's a funny one. Like we're choosing that. We're choosing to
Hmm.
make ourselves busy with all these things, but um, it certainly does feel that way.
Yeah. Um, so yeah, I want to talk about your group run. That's been
Which one?
good question. Bud run. Let's first talk about the Bud
Let's
run.
talk about the Bud
So
Run.
I have to admit I've actually never been to a Bud run, but I've been on JT's and the rest of the Bud runs group text on WeChat. WeChat,
WhatsApp.
what's that?
Yeah.
And I am so impressed by like the community that I see coming from this group, because they're sharing photos all the time. Like it's funny because a lot of these photos get downloaded automatically onto my phone. I'm learning so
You're
much about these
welcome.
people. I feel like they're part of my community now. Um, but okay, so yeah, so tell me how Bud Run came to be, and we could kind of use this as a little bit of a case study on how any of us can create something like this in our lives.
Yeah, totally. So Bud Run came about is almost 3 years ago now. It was in August. It'll be 3 years in August. But there was a group of four of us, and we had lived in a similar part of Portland, but we were kind of splitting up and moving to different areas. And we were trying to think of ways that we could stay connected, stay present in each other's lives, and just spend time together on a regular basis. And we wanted some kind of structure to keep us honest, some kind of format that we could go to. So we were thinking about it, and we all liked running, and so we thought, well, what about just we'll do like a short run and dinner once a week, because that felt like something that was manageable, and fun, and would be fairly easy to commit to. So we just picked a day of the week and a time, and we met. We'd send out our message. That's when the WhatsApp group started. Send We'd send out a message about a place. One of us would host, or we'd go to a pub or something like that, and we'd go for a run, and then we'd have dinner afterwards. And that's how it all started.
Nice.
Yeah.
So that was the original four guys already knew each other,
Hmm.
and so an element of like starting something like this, as we've talked about a little bit together, is vulnerability. Um, it's like in my mind, it seems like we should be past the idea at the stage of our lives of rejection, but I'm definitely not over it. Like even to call up a good friend of mine, like sometimes I feel like I'm not actively thinking about being rejected, but it's like there's a little bit
Mhm.
of I need to push myself a little bit, to ask that person to hang out, because I guess
Yeah.
yeah, I guess there's a fear of like I'm asking them to hang out too much or something like that. So was there any element of that when you first started?
When we first started it, um, it was nice to have like the group of four of us that we had all kind of agreed to it. So those initial like couple times, like not so much, but absolutely like over the years, and within a relatively short amount of time, like it starts to get to a point where like one person is leading more than the other people, and it definitely takes vulnerability to put that out there and say, guys, like I want to do this. I want to get together,
Yeah.
knowing that they might say, I don't want to, or I
Right.
got something else going on, or I don't want to do it this week. Um, yeah, that's something I've thought about a lot over the years. And I don't know, I can get frustrated when I don't feel like people are showing up in the same way that I am.
Hmm.
And it feels vulnerable, and it feels like, yeah, it just feels kind of, yeah, I don't know, a little bit scary, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the I think that like conflict, that I guess inner conflict, or even conflict in relationships that can happen through this kind of thing, is totally worth it. I think that's like the key for me to remember, is like this is positive conflict because
Yeah.
the alternative is that there's no interaction, there's no
Right.
community,
Right.
um, and a little bit of conflict in relationship is a healthy thing.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Fundamental for
Hmm.
sure. Yeah. And we've had some good conversations about that too with the buds,
Yeah.
um, which is an amiable group, as you might expect.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, but yeah, we've had some good conversations about, like leadership and, showing up and just exactly what we're talking about, like, feeling like one of us wants to step away from leading for a while, so delegating, or not delegating, but like offering it up to other people, like maybe they want to lead for a while. And that's actually been a recent conversation that we've had that's been super helpful, um,
Yeah.
is to share that leadership role, because it can start to feel like a lot of work or a lot of vulnerability for one person to take on. But if you have those conversations and come together as a small group and think, realize that we all want this and we all want it to keep going, and we need to share that responsibility of keeping it going.
Mm.
That's been really helpful. And yeah, I think just like those things can be really hard to bring up, but are really valuable conversations to have.
Yeah. Yeah. So you started with four
Hmm.
people, and now how many people are showing up on a regular basis?
Yeah, so it depends quite a bit. I think there's like over, I don't know, there's maybe like 25 people on our chat or something, but generally it'll be like somewhere from like 4 to maybe like 8 people is like a sort of a standard bud run.
Hmm.
And then for some of our bigger events, we'll get we'll get a bigger crew together. Like we've had a lot of fun over the years with like doing like a Thanksgiving event, and we'll do like a gift exchange. I don't, maybe calling it an event is a little grandiose, but a get
I think that's an
together.
event. Yeah,
It's an event.
it's event worthy.
Yeah, we've done camper trips in the summer and in the winter, and we'll those could be like 15 or 20 people kind of a
Hmm.
thing.
Cool.
Yeah.
So talk about that process of how you went from four people to where it is now. I mean, what were the ways that you grew it? And not that like people have to have a group more than four people. Like four people is a nice little community that I'd be happy with it. But in case someone wants to grow to more,
Looking for market share
yeah.
here.
So I guess yeah, someone wants to grow more than four people. What would you recommend
Yeah.
to do so?
Yeah, I think the keys are having some kind of regular schedule and some kind of regular thing, so that people know what to expect, and so that you can offer that to other people too. Um, and having that, on your calendar and established makes it really easy. It's an easy way to um, bring people into your community. So if there's like a friend that you've been wanting to get a run in with or something, but you just can't seem to find the time on another night, then you have this to offer them. You can say, well, yeah, come join our friends on Wednesday night, 6:15. This is going to be the place. Love to have you. So that's been really helpful, and other people in the group know that as well, so they bring other people into it. And I think just people knowing that there's this standing opportunity to connect with other people helps to bring people in, and having it be regular and reliable helps a lot too.
Hmm. Yeah, and that I think can become the hard part for a lot of people is how do you keep it consistent? And I mean that is a key to getting something to be successful with creating community, is that consistency. Um,
Hmm.
so how do you maintain that? How do you maintain a week after week thing for 3 years?
Yeah, sacrifice, compromise. I don't know, like, most of us are pretty lucky in that we don't have a lot of other obligations. Don't have kids or, other things in our schedules that we're able to make that time and commit to it. Um, but yeah, I think just making that commitment and knowing that you're going to have to give up other things to make this happen is really huge. And then also just picking a schedule that you can maintain, like we do it every week, but it wouldn't have to be that. It could be every other week, or it could be once a month or
Hmm.
something. I think what's most important is that you do commit to it and you do it. And, everyone knows that it's going to happen.
Yeah.
I
Yeah. I
think
like
that's
that.
more important than the frequency for
Hmm.
sure.
Yeah. Well, yeah. So is there any other key elements um, to Bud Run that you want to talk about that you think are
Yeah.
important?
Yeah, I think having a single leader at any given time is super helpful. It's really nice to like think about like the idea of it being like a democracy, and everybody in the group like will chime in like week to week and offer a place to host or whatever, and that definitely happens some, but um, I found it to work a lot better and be a lot less stressful if there's just one person who's like in charge of leading it for whatever, a month or a quarter or whatever. But having a single leader who is um, just putting it out there, and they don't necessarily have to say this is what we're doing. They might just have to drive the conversation to just be like, okay, like who's available this week,
Right.
who can host,
Hmm.
something like that. And then I think another really key thing is having some kind of like a simple formula, a simple thing that you do. Like, I mean, ours is super simple with a run and dinner. Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, I have another good friend who gets people together on like a semi-regular basis, and they do 5 slides in 5 minutes for each person that shows up. So each person brings like some kind of an idea that they want to share with the group, and they bring like 5 PowerPoint slides or whatever,
Oh,
and
really?
go through that. Yeah. But having
That's
like a
cool.
yeah,
Hmm.
that simple structure, simple frame, I think is super helpful, because everybody knows like what to expect and what they're going to get out of it, and it's the same every time. And you can come up with a lot of really cool rituals and ways to like get people to connect and open up, and it makes it a lot easier than if you just set a place and a time and everyone shows up and doesn't know
Yeah.
what to do.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that kind of format of having like a little, like brief little presentation of like something you're
Yeah,
thinking about, or yeah, something that you think is important to share with the world or
totally,
your
it's a
small
good one.
community. Yeah. Cool. So now, that's been the last 3 years, but more recently, you've created Alpenflow. So do you want to
Yeah.
talk a little bit about what Alpenflow is?
Yeah, I'd love to. So, yeah, I started Alpenflow a little over a year ago, and my goal with that was to, um, I wanted to do something where I could share my passions with other people, do something that was useful to other people with these outdoor passions that I have. So, that's evolved for sure over time, and now what I really want to do with it is create a space where people can experience and share their best selves. So helping people to um, find these capabilities that they don't know they have, help people move through big mountain environments, and connect them to small groups of people who want to do that as well. And it's been really cool to work on it. And I think probably the most valuable part of something like this, I know the most valuable part of something like this is the community aspect. um, it's you can find information online, and there's various ways that you can obtain information, but building community around something like this and learning from other people and building support and friendships and people to adventure with is a really valuable thing. So that's what I've been working on with Alpenflow, and we have a group run also as part of that, which has been a really cool way to connect.
Yeah. So how have you found that to be different now? Creating a group run for Alpenflow compared to what you've been doing with Bud Run.
Yeah, good question. um, Yeah, it's different in that, it's a broader public group. So there's, some different dynamic there. Um, and that's not people that I new before, so we don't have like the sort of shared relationship history kind of thing. And I've been able to set it up and try different ways of getting at kind of of trying to connect people around some core values of being present, being intentional, being mindful, and moving in wild places. So it's, I guess, I've approached it in a different way, in that I've come to it with some more intention and some more like effort in designing that space as a way to connect um, new people to each other.
Hmm. Awesome.
Yeah.
And um, has it been the same in that like it's challenging um, to be consistent getting people out each week, or has it been more natural in that way?
Yeah, it's been different for sure. Um, I've been super excited with how people have shown up, and like I feel like we've had really, really good, you know, good groups of people, great groups of people. And I think that says a lot about the trail running community in Portland. And I think it says a lot about, just people in general and how people are, looking to connect and looking for places to connect. Um, but yeah, it's definitely felt different for me, knowing that I am the leader of this run, and knowing that I need to put it out there makes things simpler in a lot of ways, because I know that I just need to do it and no one else is
Hmm.
going to do it. And
Yeah.
so it's pretty straightforward. But certainly there's like a lot of, vulnerability and uncertainty, especially in the first ones, worrying about like whether people would show up to this
Hmm.
thing that I really wanted to create, and whether they would engage in it in the ways that I was like really hoping that they would.
Yeah.
Um, yeah.
Yeah. And as I mentioned when we first started, like I've been really impressed with some of the tactics that you have. I don't want to call them tactics, but
Ha
that
ha
sounds
ha.
aggressive. The
Market
elements,
share.
the elements that you have incorporated into your group run. One is you have a question that you ask. You go around the group, everyone in a circle. You come up with a question, and everyone shares their response, and I think that's good because yeah, it's getting people talking. When a lot of group runs, there's like kind of like an awkward moment in the beginning of like, okay, like I don't know these people, but we're just gonna start running, and I'll try to, you know, talk to someone during the run.
Right.
But to create that space where you're getting people talking right from the get go, I think gives people an opportunity to, or just an easier opportunity to start a conversation with someone based on that topic that has just been presented by you.
Yeah.
I think that's really cool.
Yeah. Yeah. Thanks for saying so. Yeah, what I really wanted to do with the Alpenflow group run was make sure that everybody got to meet everybody else.
Hmm.
Because I think it's like such a cool opportunity. You have all these people getting together over something that they share and love, and it's this amazing opportunity to meet new people. But I found that on group runs that often doesn't happen, because you show up and maybe one or two people, and it's easy to hang out with them. And so I just saw that as like a real opportunity to help people get to know get to know one another. um, and all it takes is finding a way to help people meet each other, kind of break the ice. So
Hmm.
having that prompt and question is a fun way to get to know people and help people meet.
Hmm. Yeah, and at our sunrise runs for territory, um, I've always been big on getting people to introduce yourself to someone who you haven't met yet. That's like,
Totally.
what we always do before we start every run. Because again, it's so um, easy not to. It's so easy just to
Yeah.
just start running and not connect with someone. And we have to remember that even just because we're adults doesn't mean that we don't have a hard time
Making
connecting with
friends.
people, right?
Yeah, totally. It's
And
harder.
um, also, yeah, one of your other events that you had at a brewery, you broke out name tags, and I love that as well. And I love the idea of name tags, but I have personally not done so at my own events because I feel like it's like maybe like childish
Right.
in my head. Like I don't actually think that, but like there's that like little, I guess, insecure thought that's playing out in my head. Um, but it's so, I think, even more important as adults because it seems like we have lost our capacity to remember names as the older we get.
Yeah, it's certainly getting
And
worse.
I don't know how many times that like I've had that issue when I'm at an event meeting new people, and you don't want to ask that person their name again because you've met them
Right.
already and you've asked their name already, but it was 10 minutes ago, but you forget.
Right. Yeah, it's funny. I'm glad you mentioned that. I think like a lot of these things like feel kind of contrived and feel kind of
Yeah.
silly in a way, or like you're like, I don't want to put that out there. Like nobody's gonna want to do that. Like that seems really
Hmm.
lame. But they're and maybe they are lame and kind of contrived in a way, but who cares? Like they're useful.
Exactly, man.
And they really work. Like it really like does help a lot to have like some structure to come at these things and some like excuse to get to know each other.
Hmm.
And yeah, like with those name tags, I had people like write down like their favorite, like what album they'd listen to or
Oh
what artist
yes,
they'd listen to.
another great little
If
conversation starter.
they, yeah, just like
Hmm.
having something to connect over helps a lot.
Yep. Yeah, and one last thing that I want to bring attention to at your group runs with Alpenflow is your like moment of meditation. Is it a minute? Do you do a minute or 30 seconds?
Then 30 seconds.
30 seconds.
I think we'll up it, but starting with 30 seconds.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
and I thought that was so cool because like I'm someone who is like very much a believer in meditation. I've like gotten into points in the last few years where I'm in a really good rhythm with it, and other times not so much. But um, I think it's this essential thing that we don't do enough, but we're now like learning how amazing it is for us. So to incorporate it into a pre-run ritual, I think is really cool.
Yeah. Yeah. Thanks for noticing that as well. Yeah, I think there's a lot of really amazing things about meditation. Just getting to know your own mind and how your own mind works is really powerful. But I think like what I really wanted to get at with meditation on the Alpenflow runs is just bringing people into that space together. Just like taking that real intentional time to like break away from the stress and the craziness of your regular day and come into that space together and really just like think about that. Like take a second to be like, oh yeah, like I'm with these people and I've blocked out 3 hours of my evening just to hang out here. Like I'm gonna be here, I'm gonna come into
Hmm.
it.
Yep. Awesome. Yeah. And I keep forgetting to mention if you have comments or questions, you can just type them right in our YouTube um, window here. Um, but JT, and one thing that I really want to highlight is what we're doing kind of right now during the coronavirus pandemic um, to increase our community or maintain it even.
Yeah, definitely. um yeah, I think I've been making a lot more video calls and a lot more phone calls. This is something, Brett, that you and I have talked about. Like, I find, you know, texting and email to be really good, utilitarian kind of tools. But
Hmm.
for connecting with other people, I find phone calls and video calls so much richer. So,
Yes. Yeah, we got into a little discussion on text messaging earlier, and yeah, I realized like how much um, I hate it.
Yeah,
You
it
know,
sucks.
like, you know, sometimes it's convenient. It's like for making plans. Yeah, totally.
Definitely.
Um, but how many times like I've gotten into like a moment of conflict over a text message because I don't know if someone is like trying to tell me something that like
Mhm.
um that I, you know, maybe I did wrong, but it's not clear because it's over text and like, or I'm just like being insecure and I'm interpreting it that way. And
Right.
then I call them up to clear it up and it's all good. But like, it's just, I think talking on the phone is so essential. I mean, especially right now, um,
Right.
instead of texting. Um,
Yeah, it
yeah,
gives you such a better idea of where another person's at and allows you to
right.
just feel like you understand that person so much
Hmm.
better. I think, yeah, you mentioned like misunderstandings over text. I think like what gets to me a lot is when people don't get back to my texts for like a
Mm,
few days or something. I'm like,
yes,
what the
yes.
hell is going on? What's your
That
problem,
Oh,
man?
I'm so glad you brought that up because that's so common. Like it happens with so many of my friends, and I have to admit that I've done it as well. Um, and yeah, I think I think I said this earlier. It goes back to like the times of AOL Instant Messenger, like
Uh-huh.
the first like times using you know, a texting kind of service like this, and you just get used to like not saying goodbye to someone. Like,
Right.
I remember I was really surprised when like someone would just stop talking to me over
Right.
AOL Instant Messenger, and it took me a while to figure that people do that. Like
Yeah, right.
there's no closure to
Yeah,
to
maybe
the
that's it.
conversation.
Right.
But
I feel like now with messages you can just like them and that's
yeah,
like the
right,
closure. That's like,
right.
okay, we're done talking. I liked your
Yeah,
last message.
I'm done here. Goodbye.
Yeah.
Yeah. So are you organizing group chats? You have anything
Yeah. Yeah.
coming up here
So
with family or friends?
yeah, I for with most of my friends like one-on-one kind of things, it's just been like trying to call them, trying to like, FaceTime them or like call them and say, "Oh, like let's try FaceTime." Um but with with the bud run for example, last week we sent photos and messages with what we were up to, but this week we're going to try some new app, new to the buds anyway, called House Party. So it's some kind of like gaming video app.
I just heard about this.
So we'll see how it goes. I have no idea really what
Yeah,
to
let me know.
expect, but I will. Well, you can
Nice.
join. I think there's
Yeah,
one
I would
one
love to
spot
join.
left in our house party.
Oh, what's the limit on the
I think
number?
it's only like 6 or something.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm figuring this out.
Yeah. Yeah, one idea I just had today was like I've been playing guitar a little bit more, and usually I have an audience of 0 to 1 when I play guitar because I've always just it's something I've always done like on my own. But I'm like I just got inspired to like send send some videos
Yeah,
of myself playing
awesome.
guitar to like especially my family because it um I don't think they even know that I sing. So it'd be
Awesome.
cool
There
just
you
to
go.
yeah, just to send that over to them.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah, another thing I wanted to mention is so I do my Alpenflow group run every other week, and this week on Monday was the first one since this COVID-19
Mm.
outbreak. So I canceled it, and instead we did a virtual happy hour. So I encourage people to go for a run on their own, and then we got together over it was Google Meet was what we used, but it was a
Mhm.
video conference and hung out and did similar kind of thing, like brought a prompt and we talked about it and hung out for like an hour and a half, and it was so fun. It was really great. It was great to see people and connect with people and share where we were at with this whole thing, and um, the positives and negatives of it. And so we'll do that again next week.
Awesome. So
Yeah.
you're gonna make it a weekly thing.
Yeah, I'm gonna try doing it weekly for a while, and we'll
Cool.
see like if feel like it's useful and people are signing up, then I'm open to adding more as well. Um, but yeah, I typically do it every other week with the run, but the happy hours is a little simpler and takes less time, and there's also, fewer people. I'm limiting the size of it because
Hmm.
of, a video hangout chat. If
Right.
everyone's engaged, it doesn't work very well with more than like 8 people, 8 to 10 people.
Yeah.
So yeah, so I'm limiting this. So I wanted to offer more.
Yep. So how long did you spend on the group chat?
It was about an hour and a half. I had it scheduled for
Wow,
an hour, and yeah, it was going great. We're having a
that's
ton of
really
fun.
cool.
So
Yeah.
yeah, yeah,
So yeah,
right.
I'm curious. I mean, I'll try to join in
Yeah,
next
yeah.
week,
Get in there.
but
Sign up, man. It's filling up.
yes. So everyone is taking turns chatting, and it flows nicely. Like it, because I know, like, I mean, it's a little bit awkward to be over video chat, especially in this case where not everyone knows each other. Correct?
Right, right. Yeah, it helps that, a lot of the people that showed up on Monday have been to Alpenflow runs in the past and,
Yep.
knew each other in person. So I think that does help.
Hmm.
Um, but yeah, also I think just having like some sort of loose structure again helps a lot, and having like a person who's kind of like leading and facilitating helps a lot as well. And you don't have to be very hands-on with it really, but just like, bringing a prompt and then um, asking people to share. I think that helps. And then, having other questions to ask or things to talk about. And then people naturally bring stuff up as well, and you can follow that wherever it goes. But no, wasn't sure how it was going to go, but it felt really natural and super fun.
Cool, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll definitely try to hop in on
Yeah.
Monday.
Yeah. Right
Sweet.
on.
Well, JT, yeah, thanks so much for taking the time to do this this afternoon. I really hope we can, um, yeah, maintain our communities right now, even grow them, and yeah, implement things that are gonna really help us out long term, because I think it is a crucial thing in our lives to bring about happiness. I think it's one of the most important things. So um, I think like we said with talking about butt run, it takes a lot of initiative and vulnerability, but I think the rewards are huge.
Yeah, absolutely.
So yeah, anything else that you wanna share before we close up?
Yeah, I mean, I think the only thing is something that you'd mentioned before we started talking, like, what can people do now, or how can people be thinking about, what they want after this in terms of community. And I think one good thing about this whole thing is it offers some time and space for us to think about what's important and what we really value. Um, and if community is one of those things that you've been missing, or you realize that you're missing now, start thinking about ways that you can build it, that you can form your community, and how you want to move forward.
Awesome. Yeah, and we should. I'm gonna challenge myself and maybe challenge everyone listening to, um, yeah, create a call with a group of friends, or even if it's just one friend who you haven't reached out to in a while. I think it's a great idea to reach out to them now. I mean, the majority of us are home right now and have time, and there's no reason not to get on the phone and call.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, yeah, thanks so much, JT. Like I said, like what I think you're doing is with Alpenflow is really cool, and everyone should definitely check Alpenflow out at alpenflow.com, and
Yeah, no W.
yeah, no W. And on Instagram, where can they find you?
It's at Alpenflow.
Easy.
Yeah,
All
got
right,
all
JT.
the. Thanks a lot, Brett. It's great being on here. It's a lot of fun, and I'm really looking forward to those sunrise runs starting up again.
Absolutely. Yeah, me too, man. All right. Take care, man.
See ya.